kinda like complicated. I never know what I'm chasing, no. I don't need someone to save me, but you appear like a lightning bolt. Maybe you're a wizard, 'cause you're busy. There's magic in your rhythm, like a shockwave to my system. Maybe you're a wizard, 'cause you're busy. 'Cause every time I'm with you, you're my one and only elixir. Like a magnetic attraction, a supernatural vertigo. It's a chemical reaction, something I never imagined, no. Maybe you're a wizard, 'cause you're busy. There's magic in your rhythm, like a shockwave to my system. Maybe you're a wizard, 'cause you're busy. 'Cause every time I'm with you, you're my one and only elixir. You're the one that lights me up, ah. You're the one that lights me up, ah. You're the one that lights me up, ah. You're the one that lights me up. Baby, you're a wizard, 'cause you're busy. There's magic in your rhythm, like a shockwave to my system. Maybe you're a wizard, 'cause you're busy. 'Cause every time I'm with you,
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Learn With Me live stream where you are learning with me, Ashley. I am a senior developer and developer advocate for NVIDIA Omniverse, and I stream Mondays and Wednesdays at this time, 1 o'clock Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Time. And this stream is where you come to watch me explore parts of Omniverse that I'm not like super familiar with. I may have explored them in the past and there has been updates to them. And I started doing this when I first started working with Omniverse, and I needed to dedicate time to learn things that I wasn't working with every day so I could be an advocate for all of you. And I thought, what better way to do this than live on a stream with everyone watching me. So here I am. I've been doing this for over a year now. And yeah, here we are. I hope you haven't missed me too much. I did not stream last week because, to be honest with you, GTC is kicking my butt. And we have this huge conference coming up next week, which I will talk about in just a second. And I just got so many things going on for them. And I just haven't been able to stream. So I really miss you guys. And I'm happy to be doing this today. Might be a little bit shorter than normal, but we'll see. We'll see when we get there. So before I start, I promised you all starting last week or the week before, whenever the last time I started streaming, that I would be displaying your work. I need to remember that I'm flipped backwards from the share your work on the Discord. So this week I am sharing Louis Duffelbag's rendering of headphones loud and clear. They made this using the Substance Painter connector in USD Composer and 3ds Max. So there you go. Really nicely rendered out and beautifully designed. So there you go, sharing that. If you want a chance for me to put your work behind my head starting at the beginning of my streams, in the description of this video, if you're on YouTube, or in the resource that I'm about to share now, there's a link to our Discord. Share your work right there in the Share Your Work channel. It can be a screenshot of an extension you're making, an app you built, a render you did, however you used NVIDIA Omniverse. If I think it's cool, I will share it. And yeah. All right, let me put this away. And I'm going to get up the Learn With Me resources. So I share this at the top of all of my streams because there are so many different links for what you can do in Omniverse that I talk about frequently. I thought, what better way than just put it in a Google Doc so all of the links are right there. So if you're watching this at a later time, you're not missing any links that I'm sharing in the chat, because I know I've watched like previous streams and like sometimes the chat doesn't show up. So there you go. It's also in the description of this video if you're watching it later. And let's talk about some of these links today. So first thing is, if you are going to GTC, I have a referral link to get 25% off where applicable for GTC. So if you click that, it will bring you to this link. It's just the GTC login site, but like it has like my little reference referral code embedded in it. So if you were to register, you get that 25% off. So definitely check that out if you are attending. We have a getting starting page, and then this is not quite a community challenge, but I wanted to share it. If you are interested in participating in this, the NVIDIA Omniverse team is looking for short videos to feature during the GTC keynote, which is like massive. So if you want the chance to be highlighted in the keynote, then you can submit one of your videos. So you just have to go to this link, fill out the submission form, and you have until March 1st to do so. So definitely check that out. That's super cool. It's kind of like a community challenge. And then here's the calendar. If you don't have this calendar added to your calendar, I don't know how you found me, but you're missing out on so many other streams and community events going on, like the Wednesday community team, just the regular community event that's after my stream. You have the EDIO stream by Eric, where he has Jen and Edmar join pretty regularly. He's like teaching an RC car how to drive autonomously, in Omniverse. That is so cool. And then Isaac Sim has their developer office hours. So add this to your calendar so you're not missing any of those awesome events. And then what else? All of the cool little documentation stuff, the link to join Discord, and then all of the previous references from my past streams are in here. And also for what we're going to be talking about today, I have been watching a lot of Maddie's developer office hours. Maddie has moved teams and no longer does the office hours, which, you know, is very sad, but he's left behind such a really great and robust library of different scripts. So I saw he had his office hours for making a point instancer. So I wanted to do that today. We'll be doing kind of what he did, but also I wanted to change it up a little bit so we can see how we can change it. And I also had a really difficult time finding documentation for this. The best one I could find was the Pixar Animation Studios OpenUSD GitHub for all their schemas. So I just linked that, kind of just very quickly references the things that you need and what they do. So, yes, great to use. And that is linked there for you. And then I'm going to be adding this, the one that I create today, to my GitHub, and I'll link that when it's completed. I did that last week. So if you watched, not, I keep saying last week, but it was last stream, which was the week before. So if you watched that one and you wanted to get to the GitHub for it, that link is also included in this doc. And all you need to do is like download the extension and you have the script right there. Also, I found out last week when I was doing this, I like was trying to create a cube mesh and I was using the USD Geom cube or mesh define. And I was like, why is my cube not showing up in my viewport? Lesson learned from that. A mesh does not render anything in the viewport. It's just like a mesh. So USD recognizes it as a mesh, but the viewport doesn't recognize it as anything. So I had to actually use like USD geom.cube.define, which we will be using today. So nice little lesson. All right. I think that's all of my like housekeeping stuff I have to do. And let's get started. I'm going to hide this. I just got a blank background. Organize my screen a little bit here so I can see stuff. All right. So let's get Omniverse up here. And let's go into the console. I want to do what I did last week where I'm using VS Code so that you guys can see it, because if I go into script editor, like good luck reading that and I can't make it any bigger. So I'm going to use VS Code as a script editor, and to do that, first I'm going to create a new extension. Let's just slot that next to the viewport, and we're going to go to the plus icon. New extension template. I keep all of my Omniverse extensions in this folder. So we'll select that and we'll call this Learn With Me. This is Point Instancer. And my extension ID will literally just be the same thing. So create that. That is going to pop up VS Code for me. Let's see. It's all the way over here. Oh, I need to make my head smaller. I'm using OBS Studio and I'm getting a little bit better at it. Okay. I think we're good. All right. So when we create our extension, it brings up VS Code. It brings up this window, but we can just put it over here. We're not going to be using that because I want to use this VS Code as a script editor. So, oops. I'm trying to make this window bigger because I can barely see it. We're going to go into extensions. We're going to go and we're going to type in, I think it's embedded. And it's in third party. And it is the embedded VS Code, this one here. So VS Code version of Omniverse script editor. We just click enable. And then we go to window, embedded VS Code, and make sure that I still have the extension in there. Embedded VS Code. Yep, it is installed. So now I should be able to use VS Code as my script editor. All right, let's create a new script. So we'll call this one point instancer.py. And please let me know in the chat if you cannot read this. Very important that you guys can be able to read what I'm doing so that if you are learning with me, you can actually see it. And let's just copy and paste Maddie's. We know Maddie's works because he did it on developer office hours. So it's a good way to check for when that my script editor is connected properly and that we can just create a point instancer. And then we'll like create our own and kind of like break down what each one does, because it's great to have working code, but it's also really important to understand how the code works. Where did I put that? It is here. And we'll just copy all this. Copy. Rid of that. Put it into here. And let's just... Where's my... Let's click run. And as you can see, my stage changed. So my VS Code is running as a script editor. And it did create an instancer. I have a point instancer here, and it created a scope called prototypes, and then a cube, a sphere, and a cone. Those are the different geom types. If I focus in on them, there they are. They're really small, but they are there. And yeah, so yay, done. But no, not really, because I don't really understand, how that worked. So I would like to break down this code and figure out like what's doing what and like how we can get it to create instances of like one specific mesh. So we have like one instance of a cube, one instance of a sphere, and one instance of a cone. But what if I want to do like 10 cubes or 10 spheres, whatever. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to make Omniverse a little bit tinier so that you can see the viewport, because I think that'll be primarily the biggest thing. Yeah, so you can see the stage, you can see the viewport, and you can see VS Code. Can you show once again where in Maddie's repo instancer is? I will link it directly for you. It is in the reference doc that I linked earlier. It's also in the description of this video on YouTube. But if you want to get straight to the script itself, there you go. I put it in the chat, straight to Maddie's GitHub. But in my Learn With Me resource doc, it is in reference links. So however you want to find it. All right. Let's kind of create my own version using his as a reference. And so we're always going to be importing OmniUSD because we're using Omniverse's library. And we're going to be importing from Pixar the USD library, the USD geom library, which is super important in order to define our meshes, the SDF, and the GF library. So yes, we'll keep those. And this is super important. I have this like copied in a notepad where I'm constantly copying and pasting it, so I don't have to keep rewriting it. You always want to make sure that you're grabbing the stage. You can like create a new stage, but if you already have a stage open, then you're just grabbing the context of that stage. So it's much easier just to call this whole thing here. And it looks like we are defining the prim path to create that instancer, my instancer, which is the point instancer, and we'll be slotting the prim path here. So, yep. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to just rename this though to point instancer to just maintain like my extension, just keep that theme. And we'll also steal this from Maddie's code. The instancer is USD geom. We're creating a point instancer and defining it on the stage at this prim path. So that's what that is doing. And then he creates that container, which is the scope. So it's a folder to store all of the instances in. So we'll also steal that. Right? So let's comment these out. So if you're looking at this later, create stage or grab stage. No, we're not creating it, we're grabbing it. We are define point instancer path utilize. That is such a great word. Oh, thank you. I'm going to use that. I'm going to steal your word utilize. And so we're defining point instancer path. And then this is create point instancer at on stage at path. So you can reference this, or I can remember later on when I look at this again, like, why do I do this? And then this is to, yep, look at that, GitHub Copilot. Thank you so much. Create prototypes container folder. Because I know sometimes the word container like trips me up and it's a scope or a folder. So I'll just add that. I feel like this needs to come up a little bit more. Okay. Then what's the next thing we're utilizing from Maddie's code? I'm going to change. Well, I guess we're calling it prototypes because in the documentation that I've linked, let's go look at that actually. I just want to know why we're calling it like prototypes and if we could change it and it still makes sense. So the name prototypes is a relationship. It is required. Order targets for prototype roots can be located anywhere in the scene graph. We promote organizing prototypes as children of the point instancer. Okay, yeah, I guess prototypes is still like probably the best name. I was gonna name it like instances, but they're prototypes, so I'm gonna maintain that name. So we'll keep that. And then we are creating a shapes list. but maybe we can call this like instances. So this will be the instances. We're not going to be creating like a bunch of shapes. I just want to create like all cubes or all spheres. So we'll just do instances and we'll have that be our list. So create list. This is where Maddie appends each shape on the stage nested under the prototype scope and adds it to the list. And this is where this one is for cubes. So let's do, I want to do spheres. I really love spheres. They're such a satisfying looking shape. Let's utilize this code and just change shapes to instances. Oh, create sphere, add to stage, nest under prototype, container. I could spell today. Add to instances list. All right. So what these parts I'm not sure. Like right here, what's all of this do? It creates positions adder. So this is telling what where the instance are to like which shape to go to. So they are at 0, 0 for X, Y, and Z, 0, 0, 2, and 4. And then it sets the targets, it gets the path for the list, and then adds them into it. And then it creates an indices adder. Let's go look at the GitHub again and see what all of these do exactly. Obviously, they're required. I don't think Maddie would add something that's not required. So let's go look at the GitHub repo. And okay, so we have our positions is required. It's the point instances prim local to world transformation is applied to these positions. Yep. I don't see anything about like the, oh, this one, indices. It's an integer, is required, per instance index into prototypes. The relationship that identifies what geometry should be drawn for this instance. Topology attribute can be animated, but at a potential performance impact for streaming. I'm going to go to the documentation portal for OpenUSD. No, not that one. No, yeah, that one. I know we're improving our doc, so I don't know if this will even show up. Let's see. What if I type like prototypes? No, that's not what I want. Let's go to openusd.org and let's type in proto. Maybe it'll be point instancer. This is not going to what I want. Prototypes. Let's go to the API documentation. Prototypes. Identifies what geometry should be drawn for each instance. Well, it's required, so can we create Gaussians by using circles this way? I'm wondering, yeah, in theory, I think we could. I'm not sure if I have time to do that today. So, the challenge I will leave you all with is if you want to try out what Sirens is asking, creating a Gaussian using circles, just using point instancer. Or Sirens, give it a try yourself and let me know on Discord if you figure it out. It'd be cool. Okay, so we have to use all of these. Let's... Oh, you know what? I can't call this... I don't want to call my list instances because I have instancer and that just gets very confusing. I'm just going to leave it as shapes like Maddie does in there. And so we don't get our terms confused. And let's do that. But let's create like let's create 5 cubes and see if we can just do that. 5 instances of our cube. So what we'll want to do is we create our instance, we create our container, our list, and let's just break this into 2 parts. Let's do cube equals USD geom define, like this whole thing here. And so then all we have to do is cube or shapes append cube, right? So this is create cube and add to list. Get rid of that. Then we will create the target thingy, right? Or I guess we should define where it's going to go. Let's go to instancer or positions. Let's break this down into 2 parts too. So positions equals, and let's do like ef dot vec3 f, but we're going to want to create a bunch. So let's do I times, and we'll put them at like 10 units apart, like that. And then for I in range, and we'll create 5. We'll create 5 instances. And now let's go ahead and do our instancer dot create positions adder, and our positions is this here, so we can break that apart and see it. Can't see my code. How long have I been doing this where you couldn't see my code? So sorry. Oh my goodness. Whoopsies. My bad. Okay, this is what I just did. I broke down this part here that Maddie had, into 2 parts, just like I did with the cube. So I have positions, and I am grabbing the graphics library and creating, oops, I almost forgot that. Good thing I went over it. I'm creating a vector 3, and I'm going to be creating a like 5 of these instances. So it's going to be 10 units apart. So for I in range 5. We could also like break this down. We could do like num duplicates. So we can always num dupes duplicates equals 5. And so then we can just have the variable here. So define number of duplicates. All right, so this part is done. Nope, not this. This part is done. And let's go ahead and now do the target part. So let's go to instancer, create prototypes, rel, set targets, and we'll just this whole thing. Yeah, we don't need to rewrite it. It's already there. Don't need to change anything, I don't think. Shapes. Yeah. For shape, get path shapes. For shape and shapes. Okay. Then let's create our indices, and let's change this 0 times 5. So this is create. Yeah, GitHub Copilot's got it for cubes. Wait, no, spheres. I did cubes in the custom attribute one, and I keep using cube sphere. Okay. This should work. Let's go ahead and delete all of this. Let's create a new stage. Let's hide our ground. And create positions for each instance. This is creating, I don't really know what this is doing. I guess this is creating the prototype shapes. All right, let's run it. All right, point instancer is made, my prototype scope made, and then it says I only have 1 sphere, but that's because it's an instance, so I should have 5, but I don't see them. So what I do wrong? These are not errors for what I did. So let's see. Error at, what is this? Point instancer, proto indices expected an array, got allocator. All right. What did I mess up? Let's go through it. I grab the stage. I define the path for the instancer. I create the instancer. I create the prototype container, which is our scope. I create a list, define how many duplicates I want, which I use here. The sphere is defined. My positions for I in range, number of duplicates, instancer, create positions adder, and it's at my positions. Maybe this needs to be called before. Shape, get path for shape and shapes. And then create the indices adder times 5. Because we have 5 instances. All right, why aren't you showing up? Let's try this again. Let's save this. Let's run it. Point instances does not have what's that warning say? Let me hide. All right. World point instances does not have a proto indices attribute, not adding it to the render index. I'm looking back at Maddie's code and I don't see what's different about mine. All I did was change the name of it. USD geom point instancer. Define. Does each instance require a position? Yeah, but it does. But that's done here. So its positions for each one is right there. Scope define. We are creating the instancer path. We are creating the instance here, defining it at our stage, at our prim path. We have the container, which is our scope. We have our stage added to the path, prototypes, yep. Shapes. We have our sphere, our USD geom is sphere, define, proto container, get path, append path sphere. Create prototype shapes. Create prototypes relationship. Set the targets to our shaped path for shape and shapes. Our positions is our graphics library. It's a vector 3 float for I. Yep. Instancer, create positions, attribute, positions. Create the indices adder. instancer. Man, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Oh my gosh, look, I added extra brackets. Ugh, goodness gracious. That's why. Just little things. Like not adding a comma somewhere or adding extra brackets, all of that just can mess up your whole code. Isn't programming fun? Let's now let's go to file new. Don't save. I was like, why is it not creating indices? It was driving me bananas. All right, let's run this. It created a point inserter, it created prototypes, it created a sphere. It has one sphere. Why? Why does it have one sphere? Maybe we'll just do 2. Aha, there we go. It worked. Why did 10 not work? Let's try just upping this number. Run it. Okay, there we go. Oh, because 10 was just so big I couldn't see them. They were along it. They just got really long. Now let's do 10 so we could see 10. Yeah, okay. Look at that. All right. Well, very small mistake. So if you're coding, look out for those little things. Sometimes just going through your code and piece by piece, just like I did, in order to find those extra things that you might have accidentally added or something that you forgot and that your IDE is not picking up. Those can be breaking so many things. I'm really curious about creating a Gaussian using a circle. So I don't know. I might honestly just make that the next stream because I'm really curious. And this is super fun to create instances this way. I'm going to save this. I'm going to add it to GitHub. You know what? Let's just do that now that I'm on stream. So I'm gonna go. I cheat. I go to look. Like I'm like add local as if it already exists, and then I go and find it. And what I call this, learn with me, not create adder. Point instancer right at the top. Select, and it's like, oh, this doesn't have a repository, so I create one, and then I'm cheating. I didn't do that last stream, and I messed myself up. Always do what you know. Learn with me, create point instancer. We'll do MIT license so y'all can use it. We'll create it, add all the files, publish it, and then you can just utilize, as Data Juggler said, utilize my code. Publish. We won't keep this private. There you go. Let's go view it on GitHub. Open up the browser. Oh, you guys couldn't even see I was doing the GitHub thing anyway. I'm so not used to OBS sometimes, or I pull things up on my screen and realize it's not in OBS at all. Where'd it go? Okay. Not that one. This is the GitHub repo. So I will go and change this to be the GitHub repo so you guys can get it. All right. I think that's all for now. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all of your ideas and your little helps along the way. I will not be streaming next week, at least not on Monday, because we don't have work on Monday. What is Monday? I'm not sure exactly, but there is no work, so I will not be here. And I will see you all next stream. Thank you all for joining. See you later.